trends, and we'll cover the unit 14 and 15, that is diversity management, and unit 15 is all about positive approaches to the work behavior. So these two topics are very important, as this is an emerging trend of today's workplace and the workforces, which is working around the social processes and behavioral issues. Let's understand what is when we really talk about the the workplaces, and when we talk about the diversity, it is all about the practice of addressing and supporting multiple lifestyles and personal characteristics within the defined group. Defined group here means the people at the workplace from different backgrounds, different lifestyles, different traits. Management activities includes educating the group and providing support for acceptance of various racial, cultural, societal, geographic and economic and political background. So whosoever is joining at the workplace, they are coming out from the different background in respect of their gender, their races, their cultural background, their societal backgrounds. They are coming all from the different geographical backgrounds, which relates with the economic and political backgrounds also. So diversity management is all about observing legal and political requirements and promoting the culture and comfort at the workplace within an organization with differences among the people, among the workforce. Companies need to analyze and recognize that social diversity develops richness to the company's community and enhances the quality of life of all the individuals at the workplace. So diversity at the workplace can ensure an advantageous environment at work with the benefit of innovation, improved morale, teamwork and harmony among the workers. It's seen that the people who are coming all the way from different locations, different cultural background, different knowledge base, different environment, and of course with their own different personality traits or their own skills, they are very good in, they are very creative. There is a lot of scope in the innovation because people are coming all from a different background, so they have different ideas with them, with a different knowledge base. When they come together, when there is a creativity and innovativeness at the workplace, it definitely increases the morale and finally the teamwork of the organization. When there is increase in the teamwork, there is always increase in the productivity, and harmony is among the workers, among the employees at the organization is seen more in when people are coming from diverse background, different cultural backgrounds and different locations. So there is a framework of compliant and reactives. When we say the different people from different diversity at the workplace, the person can be either complaint, they cannot be able to cope up with the current situations, or the person can be reactive. If you see this pyramid, this is seen that there are non-complaints, complaint people, reactive people and the proactive people. When the lowest bottom is all about there is a bar, there is an arrow which is shown the liability to asset, and the other the arrow shows from high to low. When there is liability but on a very low pace, they are known to be as the non-compliant people, and when it is a little more, when there is lesser liability, but yes, it is on a a medium scale or maybe on a lower side, then there are complaint people. And when it is on a mediocre, a little above on towards the asset, and it is on a higher mode, then those people are reactive. And when the workforce or the employees are considered to be as an asset, and they think themselves they are the asset of an organization, here it is on a very high mode, then they are the proactive people. So let's see in detail about all these people in further slides. So diversity management is necessary because diversity is pervasive issue in an organization that can be beneficial or challenging and thus influence the performance. Diversity management overall influences the organizational performance, which definitely relates with the individual performance as well. This understanding of diversity in an organization can help management leaders incorporate their team members diversity to manage retaining the good employees and attracting the good talent. So overall understanding of diversity at the workplace is very important, which not only relates with the organizational performance, but definitely it helps the leadership or the strategize the organizational objectives. It is very important that it plays a very important role. When we say diversity, the another term comes in our mind is discrimination. So diversity develops an opportunity for an organization to eliminate unfair discrimination. To discriminate is to make a note of differences, which sometimes in itself isn't necessarily bad. Knowing a difference that one employee is more qualified than another helps in making a hiring decision. Knowing the leadership ability of an employee helps in making promotional decisions. So knowing here is very important that who is different from which employee, or who is different in terms of skills, in education, in personality, in knowledge base. So that definitely helps in during the recruitment process and hiring the right candidate. And also knowing the leadership ability of an employee helps in making promotional decisions. So discrimination, when we think of it, when we talk about this particular term, here it is all allowing our behavior to be influenced by stereotypes about group of people. So unfair discrimination assumes everyone in a group same rather than looking at individual characteristics. Discrimination can sometimes be hazardous to an organization and its employees. So discrimination can take many shapes, and its effects can be varied as organizational context and personal biases of its members. Exclusion or incivility is difficult to eliminate, as they have impossible to observe and may rise because of ignorance of action of actors. Whether intentional or it may be accidental, discrimination can be seriously taken. It seriously negative for employers as well, which causes the reduced productivity and organizational citizenship behavior among the employees. It not only increases the turnover, but also results in negative conflict within an organization, because it's seen that wherever there is discrimination, or maybe on a very precise manner, whenever there is an unfair discrimination, which definitely leads to unproductive behavior of an employees, conflicts, and reduce in the organizational citizenship behavior, their trust towards the organization, that overall impacts the negative on employees of an organization. Unfair discrimination can eliminate qualified job candidate from initial hiring and promotions. Diversity in broader term and the phrase this workplace diversity can overall refers to any characteristics that make people different from one another. So there is two type of diversity when we say the diversity levels. One is surface level diversity, and other one is deep level diversity. Let's see what is surface level diversity. There is a difference that are conspicuous or easily noticeable among the employees are called surface level diversity, where the employees are differentiated, or employees are the difference which is seen is the age, their ethnicity, their gender, their culture, their language, their the disabilities, their backgrounds. It can be measured easily by the recruiters and managers, which discriminate on the basis of these differences. For example, for one particular job, I need only the female employees for that particular profile. Here I can always tend to discriminate or maybe scrutinize the application on the basis of surface level diversity. The dimension of that can be gender, or maybe I need a specific age group for a particular job profile. During the hiring process, I can always do the surface level diversity on the age. Seeing the age can be the main dimension for that particular profile, or maybe language. If I need specific there is a position of a translator of some specific language, there the surface level diversity norm or the dimension can be on the basis of language spoken or written as per the job profile. Then there is deep level diversity. Deep level diversity is sometimes noticeable, and sometimes it is not noticeable. It is it's not easily noticeable to everyone. And this can be the difference are communicated through verbal and non-verbal behavior or the gestures, and this differences can be easily noticeable only if a person is very expertise, or maybe comes from that background where they can be able to see the diversity. But it is not very much easily noticeable, because the people have these specific level is deep down in the personality, that refers to the attitudes, the values, the beliefs of an individual. These become progressively more important to establish level of similarity as people get to know each other. People coming from different attitude and different backgrounds, is seen that there can be a conflict on the basis of an attitude or the values or the beliefs or the personality as well. So these are deep level diversity, which has to be taken care by during the initial processes, or initial hiring processes, or maybe later on when they come to the specific team. There can be a mismanagement between the attitude of the two employees, which may lead to harm the teamwork or the harmony within the team. So to avoid that, the managers or the supervisors need to really identify these deep level diversity dimensions of deep level diversity, and try to overcome these challenges. So overall, when we say within Indian context, India's diversity concern is all mainly about the gender, the age, the city and hinterland, the religion, demographics, physically challenged or maybe disability, GDP distribution, marital status, sexual orientation and nationality. India itself is a very have a diversified population. So when we talk about the city or the religion or maybe the demographics, so India sometimes while strategizing at the workplace, it is also a diversity concern. For example, I need during the hiring process, I need a person from specific cultural background, or maybe who actually fits into my organization culture. There I'll see what demographics, what geographical location the candidate is coming from, and what can be nationality of a person, or maybe even sometimes the marital status is very common, which is seen for some specific job profiles. So when we say overall, the religion plays sometimes a very important role while recruitments and the hiring process, or maybe, so these are the diversity concerns that depends on the situations, depends on the job profile, depends on what work profile or the organization culture I belong to. There are other biographical characteristics also which are a matter of concern, that is the age, sex, disability, religion, tenure, gender and ability. Here the ability refers to not only the intellectual ability but also the physical ability. These biographical characteristics are normally seen when a person is filling the application form for some job, or maybe working on some specific projects. So here as I already mentioned few examples on the basis of this. When we say the disability now, disability is very much concerned if we wanted to have the diversified background population, work employees at our organization. So it is the organizations are promoting, they have specific areas where they can hire or recruit the disabled or maybe physically challenged people for specific job roles. Religion, tenure and gender again is very important dimensions if we really see from biographical characteristics. Ability is all about whether a person wants to or maybe whether able to work for that particular job, or maybe for if we say about the physical ability, for example, I have a job role which fits into for a manufacturing site where the heavy load is required, and I need someone from a very muscular physique where a person can be able to perform that job effectively. There the diversity or the biographical characteristics can be seen with a dimension of age, with a dimension of sex, the gender or the physical ability. And maybe the tenure can also be considered in a term whether they have done this kind of profile or not. Or maybe if I have a profile which requires lot of mental abilities, where the knowledge base in terms of the mental ability is more than the physical, because they are involved in the strategic functions, or maybe where they need to really work on policy making or change management or changing the organization culture or the structure. There I need a person with good intellectual abilities. So people at the workplace are different, different from their perceptions, their aspirations and their drives, and thus their responses to the stimuli of their seniors are different when it comes to directing their performance. So all these differences among them are in terms of age, gender, culture, academic background, their lifestyle, their previous work experiences, their nationality, their social and political affiliations, their own talent and skills, or maybe for some project sometimes it is required to have specific certification or specific skill for that particular job role, to perform that job role. So here let's see one of the very important categorization which is given by Diane Warman in 2005, characterized the diversity elements into three parts. These differences are so diverse and difficult to assess and analyze, it's almost impossible to manage the employees in a standard manner. So these are the social diversity which relates with the ethics, gender and age or related dimensions. Then there is value diversity. Value diversity relates with the psychological difference between the personality and attitude of people who are working at specific pace. Then there is information diversity. Information diversity really relates with the education, the financial, the functional tenure, the work experience, the tenure or the work experience in the organization. So, people with diversified characteristics should not be molded in the organization's culture, but should rather be managed wisely, so that their diversity can be explained, that can be exploited for the betterment to them and organization as a whole. So, when we are, it's not only about creating or working on the diversified characteristics of employees, it's very important to manage that particular diversity within an organization, which, if it is managed properly, if it is managed in a structured manner, then it definitely helps to build the organization on the whole. Let's see what is the globalization. Globalization, again, when we talk about the diversified organizations or diversified culture within an organization, then globalization plays a very important role, because expats are there, which are also sometimes a part of the diversified background, diversity in the organization, in the multinationals. So, globalization is it has removed many business barriers and allowed free flow of goods and services, the persons, their thoughts, their ideas and capital. It is simple opportunity for the organizations to expand their business overall worldwide. This broad market, the globalization or the multinationals, have generated so many competitors with new type of customers and human resources. So, globalization overall brings the diversity in the business with varied knowledge and skills, with people from different age or different cultural backgrounds on a global level, their abilities and their sexual orientation. But it is often mixed with the other term, that is migration, which is very different. Migration is when sometimes we maintain the current level of economic activities, and organization need the immigrants to work. This increasing rate of young people willing to work because of high birth rate and improved medical conditions or lifestyle that cause difficult conditions in an economy to absorb each individual in economic activities. So, they need to immigrate to find job for themselves and support these families. So, overall globalization and migration are two different terms, which are of course, there is an involvement of people from different background, different nationality, different cultural background or different skills and knowledge. But here the globalization creates the opportunity to bring the diversity, whereas migration is when the organization or the economic activities need the immigrant workers. They immigrate the employees to that when they go out for some work, that is called the migration. Then there are women workers. Women workers are the professions that need to be dominated by male, now have been seen, it is acquired and it is excelled by women as well. So, there are new rules and procedures, there are a lot of modifications had been done to introduce the companies or to make to restructure their policies after emotion or maybe after intrusion of the government within that. Aging population is another factor, that is the improved healthcare facilities causing the increase in numbers of seniors staying alive and active at the workplace. Thus, the median working age of the workforce is increasing. This explains why the work environment is being adapted to the old age workers, and why many processes and procedures have been modified and altered for workers in the senior portfolio management. So, political diversity is another very important factor, that is, employees at organization enter with different political ideas and eventually different affiliations. This emerges a point and source of conflict among them, especially when they are compelled to make decisions regarding the the crucial national actions such as strikes or public demonstrations or maybe petitions. So, there is a very important and very big question which comes in our mind: is diversity a threat or an opportunity? Diversity is all pervasive reality that every organization, irrespective of its size. Diversity with organization must be welcomed, acknowledged, appreciated and dealt with creativity. Then there is a lot of cross-cultural recognition is also there. There is warmness when we talk about the diversity within an organization. No organizations have homogeneous source of human capital, customers or suppliers. People are from different background, different knowledge base, different skills, different geographical background, different even sometimes from different nationality. So, diversity affects the organizational performance. It is not just a moral, social or conscious issue, rather it becomes the imperative to an organization to consider the same with the organization and modify the organizational policies and principles as well as the culture accordingly. So, overall it is seen that when the answer to this very important question, whether diversity is threat or opportunity, if diversity is welcomed, if diversity is acknowledged and the policies are made accordingly, keeping in mind for different people from different backgrounds, then definitely it is an opportunity. If it is seen as a discrimination, if it is seen as which impacts the organizational performance negatively, or maybe if there is a negative attitude towards that, if there is no belief on that, or maybe people from negative personalities comes in picture, then definitely it is a threat to an organization. Then there is, when we talk about the attitudes, when we are talking about the acknowledgement of diversity, when we are talking about the, the people's values and beliefs. The optimism is very important dimension of one's personality. Optimism is considered as a very key, it's a key component of the modern positive psychology. Optimism is defined as power of positive thinking in general, when we talk about in a general manner. But psychologists define optimism as cognitive characteristics in terms of generalized personal positive outcome expectancy or a positive causal attribution. It is also used in relation to the other positive concepts such as hope, and the emotional intelligence, which is termed as EI. The positive influence of optimism in the psychological and physical health, motivation and achievement in various areas, athletics like academics, occupational or political success have been well documented. So, it is seen as the optimistic when there is hope or a person is emotionally intelligent. It not only impacts the psychological and physical health, it definitely motivates and increases the morale of the people, and in various areas which is mentioned here. It can be in the sports, because there you need to have that sportsman spirit with you, to achieve the big goals. Or maybe in academics, there are a lot of careers where there is a need of hope, there is need of patience is always required. So one has to be very optimistic in achieving that particular goal. Then only if that is maintained, then only one can be able to achieve the goals. Now there are different dimensions of optimism. Optimism as human nature. Early psychologists and philosophers consider the optimism as a negative aspect, and they claimed optimism as an illusion. That is, it is just an illusion, and there is no term as optimism. People make it this term on their own, where they need the self-validation. Only 1960s to 1970s somewhere, the psychologists realized that many people had a positive bias to themselves than the actual reality. This positive bias was further considered by the neuropsychologists, evolutionary psychologists and anthropologists as a basic part of human nature. When a person is seen to be as a positive towards themselves, positive towards whatever is happening around, or maybe when they are continuing towards that particular work area, that is it is considered to be as a basic part of the human nature. So optimism as an individual difference. Modern psychology treats optimism as an individual difference, as people have varying degrees of optimism. Everybody have different degree of optimism. Some people have low, some people are very high. Whenever it is seen at the high optimistic person, they are they always whenever they fail, or whenever they whenever failure happens in their life, they are always so much optimistic about that something best is coming in their near future. So they always work towards that. So it is seen that optimistic behavior have different degrees, or different with different people. There is a difference in that. So treating optimism is an individual difference. It focuses on cognitive determined expectations and causal attributions. But there are some unresolved optimism issues which is seen even at the workplace. There can be a little optimism, or it can be a big optimism. Optimism may vary in level and degree in individuals. It is seen that some people cannot handle the failures. They have a very little hope. Whenever they say they have a very little hope for this particular results, or whatever is happening on in their area, or maybe their surroundings. So this depends on person to person. It depends on the situation. It depends on what's happening and how much they have, how they can treat this level. Then there is optimism versus pessimism. Though optimism and pessimism are considered to be mutually exclusive, they may not be. Learning and sustainable optimism. Although optimism is sometimes considered as a stable personality trait, research shows that optimism can be learned and applied. So optimism is considered to be stable, but it is not. The research shows it can be applied at different situations. The optimism even can be learned. One can learn from the situations. One can learn with whatever happened in their lives. So it is a learned trait, which is a part of personality, which can be taken as a part of personality also. Let's see what is optimism at the workplace. Optimism in the workplace is both motivated and motivating. It has the desirable characteristics of achievement, health and preservance. It makes external, unstable and specific attributions of personal bad events and linked with positive outcomes, such as occupational success, or optimism is a very positive force in the workplace. It has been proven as a positive power at workplace. Only realistic optimism leads to effective leaderships. It should not be misinterpreted with false optimism. False optimism is, it's seen that when it is not happening, when there is no hope, but still the person is very optimistic about that particular situation. So, it should not be misinterpreted. Optimism is a positive power, whereas false optimism is an illusion. It is seen as it is not a positive power, it is only about the thoughts, it is only about the illusion of happening good or happening better in the near future. So, some jobs and careers where optimism is valuable are advertising, social services, health, customer service, product design, public relations and sales. So, these jobs and careers are directly, the optimism directly impacts on them, because there the person has to be very optimistic when working in these areas. About the sales, when a field person or a salesperson gets into market for with a hope that this they can be able to generate the specific sale in specific time, or maybe they are hopeful for creating the better sales in the near future. Customer service, healthcare, social services, there also the optimism, level of optimism plays a very important role, and these the employees working in these specific areas has to be optimistic in their nature. This slide shows a half full and half empty concept. It is seen an employee who considered two executives who failed to get their promotion because of negative evaluations from their boss. The first picture, which is shown as boss, and next two pictures which is shown in circle, are the two employees. One is considered to be as half full optimist, whereas the other person, the other employee is seen as half empty pessimist. Some people view their life in the same way. On the day-to-day events happening in their life, which is symbolizes as a glass, whether it is half empty or half full. If it is half full, it is known to be as half full or a optimistic. A person who is seeing life that it is half full is considered to be as an optimistic person. And a person who is seeing life which is a glass but seeing life as a half full, a half empty, is pessimistic. Now, the half full executive or the half full person who have the same, the promotion is he got his promotion, was also shocked, and he was also shocked and upset, and then he reasoned himself. He, instead of going into the rage, instead of grumbling, instead of complaining, he discussed the situation with his wife to determine what must have gone wrong, or would have would have gone, he could correct it in the near future. He realized that he was not giving his best after evaluation, after self-evaluation. He came out, diagnosed that he was not giving his best at his work, which was required, and decided to discuss it further with his boss. Next time in the meeting with the boss or the manager, he had a proper discussion wherever boss admitted that perhaps he was wrong, and he admitted that he was not giving his fullest at work. So, this person is optimistic in behavior, optimistic in nature, where he is seeing life is there are certain other things which I am full of this life, or there is lot of scope and there is an hope where I can work in a better way, there is a scope of betterment, that person is optimistic in nature, because he self-evaluate, self-aware about himself, so that in the near future he can be able to give the best out of his work. On the other hand, the same person who was also evaluated, and he also got the negative emotion, but he's seeing life as half empty glass, which is considered to be a very pessimistic approach, pessimistic nature of a behavior of a person. This half empty executive reacted to the snub in a rage. He had fantasies of killing his boss, complain to anyone who would listen to his unfair treatment, because he is seeing life as if something unfair has a decision has taken on him, and he went out drinking and binge, and he felt that his life was over. He avoided his boss and looked down when passing him nearby, or in the hall. In an interview, however, he admitted that though he was angry and disappointed, he still felt that he was not capable enough to be promoted, and he was not in a position to change. So, this pessimistic, there is a two kind of behavior which is mentioned here, about the optimistic behavior of a person and pessimistic behavior of a person, where the person see the life with lot of opportunities, lot of opportunities in the near future, although he got the negative marks, but the optimistic person always looked another angle of a life where he can correct himself or work on himself or upskill himself for the betterment. Whereas the other person who is pessimistic towards the life, he always have the negative feeling or a negative feeling of unfair treatment which was done. So, this is all about the half full or half empty behavior. Now, when we are talking about the organization culture, when we are talking about the optimism or pessimism, there is one factor which is the most important factor, and the organizations are working at the organization level, employees are working on an individual level, that is happiness and well-being. Happiness is a concept that seems to be readily embraced by the majority of people and appears to be more valued than the pursuit of money, moral goodness, or going to heaven. During the past 30 years, and especially since the creation of positive psychology, psychology too has turned its attention towards the study of happiness and well-being. There are several reasons why the field of well-being is flourishing at the moment. First is quality of life, which is becoming more important than matters of economic prosperity. Second is very important reason is personal happiness. Personal happiness is very important reason when we say about making ourself or making ourself as flourish from inside. That becomes more and more important because of growing trends towards individualism. Individualism refers to the self happiness, it also refers to the self care, it also refers to about the well-being about ourselves. The third reason is valid and reliable measures. It have been developed which have allowed and the study of well-being to establish itself as a serious and recognized discipline. It is seen that the person who are happy at the workplace, who have that definitely impacts the organizational productivity on a whole. because they are they are working on themselves, they are embracing the situations, they are appear to be more valued. The person who is self-caring, or the person who is working on individuals, definitely it is seen there is a positive results in the the personality, also the beliefs, and they are optimistic. It is seen that the pessimistic person becomes optimistic when they really work on an individual level on the personal happiness. There are different benefits of happiness and well-being. Some of them are sociability, success, helping behavior, creativity, better health, self-regulation, and longevity. So all these benefits comes with when an employees are very happy at the workplace. Sometimes the workplace, the organizations also work towards the well-being and the happiness of the employees. They create the events, they organize the events to not only to retain but to make the harmonized working culture, which not only impacts the individual behavior but overall impacts the organization culture. But when we say about the individualism, definitely the person becomes more social. They are always in the helping behavior. They becomes more creative when they are working on the happiness. They self-regulate. They manage their emotions very well. The longevity also increases. Health definitely increases, and overall, when we see a person who are happier, people are more successful people. So happiness is, it is subjective or objective. It is generally, the words happiness and well-being are very interchangeable, because the notion of subjective well-being, that is also known as SWP, is used to research literature in a substitute for the term happiness. It encompasses how people evaluate their own lives in terms of cognitive and effective explanations, and can be represented in the following ways. That is, SWP is known to be is equals to satisfaction with life plus effect. Effect here is represents the emotional skills of SWP, which can be positive or the negative moods and emotions that are associated with our daily life experiences, whereas a life satisfaction represents one's assessment of one's own life. It is a balance between the present and what is thought to be an ideal situation. What is the present situation and what can be the ideal situation? If a person is satisfied with the present situation, they are considered to be as in satisfaction with life. But when it combines with the mood, which combines with the emotions, that is about the everyday events or everyday life, that creates subjective well-being of an individual. So nurturing subjective well-being, or SWB, there are two theories. One is zero-sum theory and other one is adaptation theory. Zero-sum theory, where the happiness is acyclic, because it depends on what's happening around and what is the mood behind that, what is the situation behind that, and that happy and unhappy periods, that happy and unhappy events or times follow each other. An attempt to increase the happiness will soon be nullified by a consequent unhappy period or unhappy event. So it is a cyclic. Whenever there is a happy moment, sometimes it comes another unhappy moment which nullified, and it goes on and on. So it is rightly said, life is full of happy and unhappy moments, so it is a zero sum theory. It is more likely that happiness tends to get fixed rather than being fixed from the very beginning. So, whenever there is a nullified, or again after the unhappy moment there is a happy moment, it is that is why it is known to be as a cyclic. It is also we listen these terms that today, for example, today is a happy moment or unhappy moment. All the optimistic people always look further to be an happy moment, that yes, today is unhappy event or unhappy situation. I am hopeful that tomorrow I'll get the better life situation or better life event which may happen in our life. So this is all about a cyclic movement of these events or these periods. Then there is adaptation theory. Although happiness reacts to negative and positive life events, it returns to its baseline shortly afterwards. It's seen that, for example, it is given that lottery winners soon revert to the normal level of well-being. If a person gets a lottery, that is a very maybe a overwhelming emotions comes in, or the person can be very happy at that particular moment, but according to adaptation theory, after a certain period of time they revert to their normal level of well-being where they were into. So it has been discovered that only life events that occur during the past 2 or 3 months influence the well-beings. So well-being is largely influenced by last 2 or 3 months. However, despite the evidence that people are adjusted to some conditions, but there are certain conditions such as widowhood or loneliness or injustice, to which people never adjust completely. They always have that negative feeling or that traumatic events. If something happened, they may reduce or may fade some of the impact, but they cannot come out of that completely. Other word is spiritual intelligence at work, which is also known as SQ. It was popularly researched by Daniel Goleman in mid of 1990s. The emotional intelligence is a feeling which is a base requirement for use of IQ. Every thought process, we are human beings, we go through a lot of emotions every day in our life, but how to manage and control that emotions, how to really self-regulate or self-aware of that. Emotions is called as emotional intelligence. So there are basically 3 Qs, that is IQ, EQ, and the third one, which is very, very important, which is very aligned with the EQ as well, is SQ, that is spiritual intelligence. This third Q, the spiritual intelligence or SQ, is address and solve problem of meaning and value, the intelligence with which we place our actions and lives in the wider, richer or meaningful context. So spiritual intelligence is the foundation of IQ and EQ. It is our ultimate intelligence. It allows us to be creative, to change the rules and alter the situations. So it allows us to dream, to aspire, to seize the uses and the limits of both understanding and compassion. Spiritual intelligence allows us to ask if we want to be in it all or would rather change it, create a new one. That gives the intelligence of creating, that gives the intelligence which is combination of the creation and compassion. So IQ, EQ and SQ is very well defined in this circle, where the SQ is the central core of a human being, of the human emotions, or then IQ is the IQ and EQ are the inner and unconscious area of us. The outer area is a conscious personality, what we are showing to the people, how we are, the learned behavior, our attitude, or maybe when we are thinking rationally. Of course, we are thinking rationally at the inner conscious also, but the central core is spiritual intelligence, which is only and only related with our own self. And the neural arrangement is on the central core of our thought process, or central core of our about our own system, whether it is neurological, psychological, or how we really think about. So the SQ is known to be as an ultimate intelligence, which was given by Dana Zohar and Ian Marshall, where the serial thinking is done across neural tracts, which is measured by IQ. There is associative thinking, which is done across neural networks, which underlies EQ. There is unitative thinking, is creative, there is an dimension of intuition and insightful, and comes from much deeper within, from our personal center, is our SQ. So here it is seen when we say this particular the circle, the SQ is considered to be as an intuition. There is we generally say it is a sixth sense, or how we there is an intuitive capabilities seen in some people are very high. They are very insightful. They are very creative when it comes to the insight analysis, or maybe where this is a personal center. This is where that is the core belief or the core value which we have within us, that is the SQ. Whereas the IQ and EQ is all about the serial thinking, what we are what we are working on, our neural track, what we have learned, our skill, our intelligence, and of course how we are associated with our that IQ, that intelligence, that attitude, or maybe the learned behavior is linked with the emotions, that is associative thinking. So this is how the IQ, EQ and SQ are interrelated, and it gives the ability to create and invent the new things, or maybe change the new situations. This concept of SQ is ability to apply, manifest, embody spiritual resources, values and qualities to enhance daily functioning and well-being. Despite the overlap between the religion and spirituality, there is a general agreement on the distinction between them. Religion is all about when we focus on the rituals. When we focus on the rituals and belief with regards to the sacred within institutional organization, whereas the spirituality refers to the individual experiential elements of meaning and transcendence. So there are three modes of brain processing when we are talking about SQ. One is serial processing, that is a function in the left brain. Whereas the parallel processing is the EQ functions, that is in the right brain, and the synchronized processing, that is the SQ, that functions in the entire brain, which is a combination of IQ. There also SQ is required. When we are we talk about EQ, there also the SQ is required. So there is a neural basis of spiritual intelligence, where it is seen that 40 Hz oscillations propagate across the whole brain, that synchronizes, gets along, then it is associated with conscious attention and state of presence. By linking that part of the brain functions from both hemispheres into the integrated part of the whole brain. 40 hertz synchronized oscillations then connect with the mind, self and world to the meaningful manner, that is the meaningful whole, which consequently the result can be these 40 hertz oscillations constitute the neural basis of spiritual intelligence. This 40 hertz oscillation is a type of brain nerves that the activity that occurs in the in the brain where they work on the processes. So SQ brain circuitry is SQ is hardwired in the human brain, and the brain circuits remain largely dormant and undeveloped unless the SQ neural network is actually used. So SQ is the intelligence of soul, which is a quality of consciousness. It is activities when identified with awareness instead of thoughts and emotions, and allow the experience in qualities, and therefore it is known to be as an intelligence of the soul. The organizational spirituality refers to the justice, mutually respects, receptivity, responsibility, integrity and humanism at the workplace. The organizational spirituality also relates with the spiritually oriented goals people, the opportunities to the experience higher sense of service and greater personal growth, where the work can be understood as a recognition of the employees and have an inner feeling that is nourished in a meaningful manner. So the practical application can be on emotional intelligence, where it is necessary to understand and controls one emotions, self-regulation and self-awareness. So practical application also involves to identify and align the personal values, to develop the clear and stable sense of identity, and to find out the deepest inner resources from which it comes with the capacity to create and power of the tolerate and adaptation. So overall, transcendental leadership comprises of consciousness, moral character and faith, where it affects the managerial leadership. Leaders exhibit inner directedness towards the form of the creativity, that is SLT, that is spiritual leadership theory, which relates with vision, altruistic, hope and faith. So it also affects the employee engagement on a whole, where the perspective is on not only the improving the employee's quality of life and well-being, but also relates with a sense of purpose and meaning in the life. So there are 7 practical steps which is given by Zohar and Marshall, which we mentioned here. There are different paths towards the greater spiritual intelligence. The EQ is all about the abilities and competence and skills, which we have discussed. There are Baron models, which is on intrapersonal adaptability and stress management. Mayer and Salve, the branches are emotional perception, emotional integration, emotional understanding and emotional management, which is comprised of experienced and strategic mode. So the Daniel Goleman, which we have given as a mixed model of emotional intelligence on different quadrants, that is self and social, self management and regular relationship management. So overall we have done the basics of biographical diversity, which makes and promote and transfer decisions and support diversity and culture. We discuss about the implementation and integration of diversity practices at organizational level. We discuss about the SQ, IQ, EQ, all the brain functioning. So that's all for today with a understanding on all these concepts. Thank you so much. Namaste.